Excellencies, honorable members of the Council of the Indian Council of World Affairs, distinguished scholars and academics from South Asian countries, diplomats from abroad and from India, members of the media, honored guests, Professor Swaran Singh, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we have all gathered at Sapro House on the happy occasion. Today, we have gathered at Sapro House on the happy occasion of the third conference in the series of revived Asian Relations Conference that the Indian Council of World Affairs was privileged to organize in March 1947 under the inspiration and direction of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, with a view to reaffirming our commitment to the ideals of Asian unity and solidarity. At ICWA, we have revived the Asian Relations Conference along with Association of Asian Scholars AAS in 2009, and today's event is the third in that series. Professor Swaran Singh and I have the pleasure to extend to our distinguished guests from neighboring South Asian countries a very warm welcome to New Delhi. We feel honored that a number of eminent personalities, including ministers, members of parliament, ambassadors, journalists, and academics, have all positively responded to our invitation and come here for an interactive brainstorming on issues of common interest to all of us. I am particularly grateful to Shri Shiv Shankar Menon, National Security Advisor, for very kindly agreeing to deliver the inaugural address this morning. South Asia, with its nearly 1.5 billion people and a strategic location in Asia, remains one of the most significant regions of the world. This is increasingly being witnessed in recent years. South Asia has also seen and continues to go through a great deal of turbulence, socio-economic transformation, demographic evolution, and cultural integration. Despite various differences and disputes that seem to divide the countries of South Asia, there is a discernible trend towards finding commonality and convergence in many areas of our socio-economic life. Today, there is also an expanding role of media and civil society by which the countries of South Asia are increasingly being influenced. I believe that today we are examining and assessing that our shared history, culture, growing complementarity, especially driven by globalization and market integration, trade and investment, and a possible shared vision for the future, whether it can draw us closer in a dialogue which could effectively address our concerns and differences, as also aspirations and expectations. Regional integration, a trend which is witnessed in other parts of the world, is still comparatively small and slow in South Asia, though our resources, both natural and human, offer huge opportunities. Of late, however, the situation seems to be changing for the better. As Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, speaking at the SAARC summit in Maldives last November, said, and I quote, "There are promising signs that South Asia is increasingly getting plugged into growth dynamic of Asia. This encouraging trend has coincided with the growing pace on SAARC integration. This shows that we are on the right path.
we can all benefit from our respective comparative advantages, which include our hydropower and natural resource endowments, possibilities of earnings from transit, marine resources, our scientific and technological base, and above all, our young population, which will drive consumption and investment in the years ahead. Unquote. South Asia no doubt faces several challenges, especially of non-traditional security nature. These, in today's fast integrating world, cannot be seen in isolation. Cooperation to deal with such threats in a holistic manner may be the best approach for countries in South Asia. In selecting the theme of this conference, namely Transforming South Asia, Imperative for Action, we have been principally guided by the consideration that involvement of all stakeholders through dialogue can alone deepen and widen integration in our region, which would necessarily have to be based on a cooperative agenda. It is on this premise that this Asian Relations Conference seeks to underline and emphasize several possible regional initiatives. The conference program identifies and suggests a few of such areas. We do hope that the conference will address the issues in a constructive spirit. The time, in my view, for action is opportune and propitious, and a valuable opportunity beckons us all. Thank you very much.